In this video, we're gonna compare two video cards, the 9400 GT by Nvidia and the GTS 250 by Nvidia. One being entry level $50 card, the other one being probably more in the range of $100 to $150. And here I have three cards lined up. You can see the GTS 250 here on the end is quite a bit larger, way bigger heatsink, bigger fan. This is for comparison as a Radeon HD 2600 Pro, which would be in between these two cards. And on the end here we have the Nvidia 9400 GT. You can see it's a smaller card, smaller heatsink, but it does have a built-in fan, so that's good. And then over in this picture we can see the 9400 GT in the computer. You can see it doesn't take up a whole lot of space, and it doesn't have its own power supply hookup or anything like that. Here we can see the specs for the 9400 GT. We've got 1 GB of DDR2 in it, the bus width of 128 bits, and a bandwidth of 12.8 GB. Our GPU clock speed is 550, the memory is 400, and our shaders are 1350. Okay, now we're gonna run a benchmark, since we're gonna be testing these two cards to see how well they render graphics and shadows and light and stuff like that. We have a program here called LightSmart 2008 that will actually run a benchmark on lighting and shadows. As you can see, this video card and the CPU wouldn't let me record the benchmark and run it at the same time. So here's a screenshot of one of the clips while it was running, and then here we'll pop up the results. You can see we had an average FPS of 69. Okay, we've logged into SL on our 9400 GT Nvidia card, and when we logged in, it automatically set our graphics to what it thought we should have. So let's go ahead and see what it changed them to. Okay, it put us at mid, so apparently it thinks the video card we're using is good enough to run at mid settings. Hardware, didn't turn anything on there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teleport to a place that I know has a ton of textures and usually has a fair amount of traffic, so there'll be some avatars there and stuff. And we'll walk around and look and see how things res and compare our frame rates. You can see our frame rates are up here in the corner. Let's go ahead and turn up our draw distance so the whole thing renders. Set it at 256. We'll take a little turn around and see how things render for us. You can see our frame rate went down when we did that. Take a look at some of these, get the textures to load. And we'll run over here, because I know for a fact this one will have light and shadows when we turn it up, and we can compare it. So we'll take a walk around here and let things res in and see how they do. We're not doing bad on 40 frames per second. I kind of thought it would be lower than that. Okay, now this time we're gonna turn our graphics up to high. So see here we have it set to high, and put our draw distance, make sure it's at 256. Hardware, I've turned on anisotropic filtering and raised my anti-aliasing to 4 times. Go ahead and close that. Doesn't seem like we took too bad of a hit on our frame rates. It's not all rendered yet, but go up here and take a walk around and let some stuff render. I don't seem to move quite as smooth now though. Also keep in mind that I'm running video capture software in the background and I'm recording this full screen, so that does put a load on the system, so it would actually probably run a tad bit better if I weren't running the camera. And we'll take a walk around and let things load again. I'll be honest with you, I can't tell a big difference between mid graphics and high graphics other than my avatar slowed down a little bit. Oh, I see our frame rates did drop some now though. Okay, and again we are on a Nvidia 9400 GT, and this time our graphics are set to Ultra. Let's go ahead and take a look at the settings. You can see here it's Ultra. Everything is on except our light and shadows. Draw distance is 256. All of this is maxed out. Our hardware, our anisotropic filtering is on, and we've raised our anti-aliasing from 4 times to 8 times. You can see our frame rates are definitely lower. We've about halved them. Let's go ahead and we'll take another walk up here. And definitely a little bit harder to move around. And yes, I know this is a guy's voice and I'm playing with a girl Abby. But I switched to a girl Abby because it just fits in better here at All Ladies, since it's mostly a female type shop. Actually, it kind of looks like it is taking longer to load the textures. Okay, now we've got an idea of how things work in Ultra. You see we're getting, 8 to 10 frames per second, which is not what I would call ideal for Second Life. If you were in a club with a bunch of avatars around you, it wouldn't be that good. Now, let's turn on shadows and watch what happens. Turn on lighting and shadows, ambient occlusion. We won't mess with depth of field. And we may have actually crashed. You can see our frame rates went down to 2. Oh, there we go. Amazingly, you can see the shadows. I didn't even think that it would do that. But as you can see, we can't move. We're at like 1 frame, 2 frames. I'm hitting the arrow keys and I'm not going nowhere. So, as you can see, a 9400 GT isn't doing shadows.